Hello guys, I bought this Toyota PRADO J120 TX Limited with the 3-liter 1KD FTV engine. Tonight, I'm delivering this car to Mombasa. It's around 11 p.m. and I hope to be in Mombasa by morning. Once I get to Mombasa, we are going to have a mini review of this vehicle, and we are doing this because AutoConnect is the only car channel that will guarantee you an alluring motor vehicle experience. I'll be your host, Eric Okabi, Eric with a CK. Remember, you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Threads as well. First things first, let's fuel the J120. When I got the PRADO from the seller, it had some fuel in it, so I've just topped up around 36 liters of diesel, which is worth 6,000 Kenya shillings, and that should be enough to get me to Mombasa. With the fuel economy that the 1KD FTV has, it should be sufficient. But we are going to check out the fuel level on the fuel gauge. It's not an accurate way of measuring fuel economy, but there are those engines that, you know, they have the sufficient power and good fuel economy. And one of those engines is the 1KD FTV. We have a tank that is 3/4 full of diesel. I've also reset the trip so that we can measure the distance. This fuel should be enough to get me to Mombasa and also have some spare fuel to run around. But after fueling up, it was now time to hit the road. I exited Nairobi City through the Nairobi Expressway. This presented the perfect opportunity to test the power of the 1KD FTV engine. Since this PRADO is very well taken care of, the engine is still full of life. Upon exiting the Nairobi Expressway, the rain started pounding hard. In fact, the entire distance from Mlolongo all the way to Emali, visibility was greatly reduced. However, after Emali, the skies cleared and so did the roads, and soon enough, I got to Mtito Andei. Still progressing on well. We are currently at Mtito Andei. The machine is performing very well, irrespective of the fact that these are 2005 PRADO. The performance is impeccable. That 1KD FTV is still full of life. Well, we have taken the much needed rest, and soon we'll be back on the road, and hopefully we are going to be in Mombasa before sunrise. The drive from Mtito Andei to Mombasa was uneventful. After a couple of hours, I got to Mombasa, and now we get to have an up-close and candid mini review of this 2005 Toyota PRADO J120 TX Limited. Hello guys, I made it to Mombasa. I have parked the J120 at the Mama Ngina waterfront, and I would like to give you a walk around of this vehicle. But before then, allow me to tell you how we got this vehicle, because it was very interesting. So there is a client who is looking for a Toyota PRADO J150, and we have been sourcing for that car and happened to land on a very clean 2021 J150. Well, on Monday morning, the client called me and told me they would like to offset this J120 they have been using, because they are graduating from this J120 to a J150, and they were willing to give it up and use that money for the deposit for the J150. So yeah, it was a good deal. But coincidentally, I had a client in Mombasa who was looking for the exact same spec of this J120. So it was a very seamless transaction. A Monday morning, I never thought I would be going to Mombasa in the evening, and guess what? Sometimes our job prospecting cars takes you places. So back to the J120. This is a 2005 J120 TX Limited. It is powered by a 3-liter 1KD FTV diesel engine. This is the best engine you're going to get in a J120, and that is because it gives you decent power, decent torque, decent fuel economy, and also decent reliability. Let's talk about the engine options that are available in the J120. The J120 was a very transitional vehicle, and so it came with a wide variety of engines to choose from. First, let's start with petrol. For the petrol engine options on the J120, there were 4 of them: a 2.7 litre 3RZ, a 2.7 litre 2TR engine. These were inline 4s, but we also had 2 V6 options. We had a 5VZ for the earlier generations of the PRADO 120, and the 5VZ was a 3.4 litre V6. The other engine option is the 4 litre 1GR, which is a V6 option as well. So with these petrol engines, the reason why I'm not a fan of them is because they are either too lazy or too thirsty. The 3RZ and the 2TR 2.7 litre 4-cylinder, they are lazy and they are quite thirsty. So if you want more power on a J120, you'll probably go for the 5VZ 3.4 litre V6 or the 4 litre 1GR V6. Now the 3.4 litre and the 4 litre V6s, they have a little bit of power, but they are very thirsty. So if you're somebody who factors fuel economy in a J120, then these are engines that you should not even come close to. So what about the diesel options? For the diesel options, we had all of them were 3 litre, because we had a 3 litre 5L, we also had the 3 litre 1KZ and the 3 litre 1KD FTV. The 5L was naturally aspirated, very reliable but very lazy. The 1KZ was not so lazy, but compared to the 1KD, it's quite lazy. It had some overheating issues, and another thing about the 1KZ is that it's quite noisy, just like the 5L. So if you're buying the best balance for fuel economy, reliability, decent power and torque, that would go to the 3 litre 1KD FTV engine, because in terms of power, you're getting around 160 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque, which is not bad for PRADO J120. Those are decent figures, and most importantly, you're also going to get very good fuel economy. The reason why I vouch for the 1KD FTV as the best engine to have on a J120 is because it has a very good balance of power, torque, fuel economy and reliability. The power figures are between 163 horsepower to 170 horsepower, depending on year of manufacture and also market. Torque figures are around 400 Newton meters of torque, which is quite decent even in modern day, because this is an old vehicle. It's a 2005. So 2005, this is a car that is almost 20, it's actually 20 years old, and it's still strong. The 1KD still has so much power and so much life on it. Well, one thing about this particular J120 and why I told you that it was a good deal is because it came with all-terrain tires that were almost new. Yes, so to the client who is taking up this vehicle, he is very, very, very lucky. Now, there's something I would like us to talk about when it comes to the rear of this Toyota PRADO J120. This is the TX Limited, and the TX Limited is characterized by being a 7-seater or having a 7-seater configuration. In terms of suspension, you have double wishbones at the front and solid axle at the rear, and there is always the question: did the J120 have KDSS, the kinetic dynamic suspension system? Well, yes it did, but not on the J120 per se. KDSS on the J120 generation was on its twin, the Lexus GX 470. From 2004 they came with KDSS, but KDSS became more popular on the J150. Most people ask whether the J120s are stable, and in my opinion, J120s are amazing vehicles and they are quite safe. The only problem is people drive them like sports cars, and remember, this is a vehicle that has a high center of gravity and a ladder frame chassis. So if you drive it badly, it will show you bad things. Sawa. So this is a Japanese spec of the J120. This has been only one hand since importation, so it was a very, 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 very clean unit, very well kept. But you know, with old vehicles, there is always some things to do. Like it had a few scratches on the bumper, which are small compared to the value this vehicle is going to give the client. The J120 is a very capable off-roader. If you're looking for a car for overlanding, the J120 should be on your list because it's reliable, it's quite fast if it comes with the 1K DFTV, and it has a very good four-wheel drive system. It comes with a 2-speed transfer case. You engage four-wheel drive using a lever and not a knob as on the J150, the successor to the J120. And the other fact that most people do not know about the J120 is that it came in full-time four-wheel drive. So even when you're shifting at the lever, you're either shifting between 4 high and 4 low. Yeah, so if you're thinking of doing overlanding, this should be a car you should consider. And well, the demand for J120s is quite high, especially now that we're in the political season. They are loved for how hardy they are, but looking at it as a workhorse and a vehicle you can that you want to have fun with, this is a vehicle that you can also accessorize heavily. You can get a bull bar for it, you can mount a rooftop tent, you can give it a lift, and it can turn out to be a very good overlanding vehicle. In terms of accessorizing it, if you want it to look better, you can always replace the headlights and get some really nice LED ones with the projectors, the ones that look fancy. But if I was to buy this vehicle, I would personally keep it as stock as possible, give it a lift, nice off-road tires, and rig it for adventure, because that's the beauty of this vehicle. And the versatility of J120 is also one thing that makes it a popular SUV, because you can use this vehicle in the shamba, you can use it to go for business meetings, and you can also use it as a daily drive vehicle. So that's it from Mombasa. I hope this was a good minisode. I hope you have enjoyed. So tell me, do you like the J120, and what's your perception about it in terms of stability? Have you driven one? And that's it for this delivery trip minisode. I will try my best to be bringing you these minisodes every time I'm delivering a car across Kenya. About 2 weeks ago, I delivered an Isuzu D-Max single cab 4x4 to a town called Luanda, past Kisumu. And now this one from Nairobi to Mombasa. I rarely bring cars to Mombasa. In fact, I get cars to Mombasa and take them back to Nairobi. But really, bringing them to Mombasa felt a bit odd. So what do you think about this minisode? Do you want more of this? Tell me in the comments. I've been your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. Follow me at a personal level on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, and TikTok as well. My handle is Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. Bye bye from Mombasa.